Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, all of you. I'm playing that action potential video. Check that once again, all of you. Screen shared.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I've said before that a nerve impulse is an electrical signal that travels along the neuron, but it's not quite electricity as you may know it. Electricity is the flow of electrons, but in a nerve impulse we use the word potential to describe the movement of charged particles across the membrane of a cell. The charged particles flow like a wave down the axon, moving in and out of the cell. The movement is mostly of positively charged ions, not negatively charged electrons like you might imagine. Let's look even closer at the cell membrane. At rest, when a neuron isn't firing, there's a high concentration of sodium ions outside of the cell membrane, and also a high concentration of potassium ions in the cytosol of the cell. The sodium and potassium channels are gated and closed. Because of the difference in number of sodium and potassium ions, as well as the presence of negative ions like chlorine, there's an overall negative internal charge of negative 70 millivolts. The beginning of an impulse is marked by depolarization. This means that the voltage-gated sodium channel is opened and the sodium rushes into the cell. The influx of positive charges quickly shifts the electric potential of the membrane so that now the outside is more negative and the inside of the cell is more positive. This change in polarity will close the sodium gate. Nearby is the voltage-gated potassium channel, which will now open and allow potassium ions to flow out of the cell. The movement of these positive ions will repolarize the cell, allowing the cell to have a negative internal charge relative to the positive extracellular charge. The change in polarity will also close the potassium gate. At this time, you might think that the cell is ready to receive another signal, but it can't. If the sodium gates opened, the sodium ions would not move. In order for ions to move through their channels, they have to be able to move down the electrochemical gradient. The positive sodium ions aren't attracted to the positive environment outside of the cell, so they won't move. Another signal can't be sent until the sodium and potassium ions have moved back to their resting potential positions. But this means moving against concentration gradients, which means energy must be used. During the refractory period, the sodium-potassium pump will move 3 sodium ions out of the cell and 2 potassium ions into the cell with 1 ATP molecule. This must happen constantly and rapidly, so the brain uses a significant amount of your body's energy. In a matter of milliseconds, the sodium-potassium pumps will restore resting potential and another action potential can move through. Nerve impulses are actually waves of action potentials, which means ions are flowing in and out of the cell in a wave-like pattern. Because of the refractory period where sodium ions will not flow out of the cell by diffusion, action potentials can only move in one direction. They begin at the dendrites and they end at the axon terminals. This wave-like region where the action potentials are flowing are referred to as the local current. The flow of sodium through one gate will trigger the flow of sodium in the next gate, but sometimes there isn't enough sodium to trigger an action potential. Using an oscilloscope to display the membrane potential over time, we can see that sometimes the flow of sodium ions isn't enough for an action potential to occur. The internal region of the cell must reach negative 55 millivolts, the threshold potential, for action potentials to begin. If enough sodium ions are released to surpass the threshold potential, an action potential occurs. In the oscilloscope trace of an action potential, we can see where the sodium and potassium gates have opened. Here is the point where the stimulus occurs, and sodium gates open, allowing sodium to rush into the cell. This depolarizes the cell, causing the inside to become positive relative to the outside of the cell. This polarity change opens the potassium gate, which allows potassium ions to rush out of the cell, which rapidly repolarizes the inside to a negative charge. This can often become more negative than negative 70 millivolts and is called hyperpolarization or undershoot. This will be corrected during the refractory period, where the sodium-potassium pump uses ATP to restore resting potential. During this time, no additional action potentials can be sent, but once resting potential is reached, the neuron is ready to fire again. Thanks for watching this episode of Teacher's Pet. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on Twitter at...
So is it okay, all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So a few points, of course, already we have covered all the points in the junior inter syllabus, the nervous tissue lesson. Once again, we'll revise them. So for tomorrow's exam, your portion will be completed. So please tonight, all of you revise junior inter topic also. Already few points we have covered. The remaining points also, again, I'll revise now. Okay. So let us start that part. In NCERT syllabus, all these, depolarization, repolarization, undershoot periods are not explained. No even discussion about leakage channels and voltage gated channels. This clear explanation, detail explanation is only in the Telugu Academy. Of course, it supports you even in the medicine. Medicine first year, will do human physiology. There, this nerve impulse transmission is there. So all this topic, what we have done, even it supports for your medicine also, first year medicine. Okay. So in NCERT, only small explanation is given. No leakage channels, nothing about the voltage gated channels and all these 4 periods. No, even not explanation about the graph also. Simple general idea they give. Like first they mention about the membrane permeability, what is polarity. Polarity is required to run the potentials, how the polarity is maintained. Sodium more outside, potassium less outside. Potassium more inside, sodium less inside, and more negatively charged proteins inside. Because membrane is more permeable for potassium and nearly impermeable for sodium. These points are given. And next they mention about the sodium potassium pump. Yes, these gradients are maintained by sodium potassium pump. 3 sodium is pumped outside and 2 potassium always inside by using ATP. And it maintains the gradient difference. And how action potentials run is explained in a different way. Let me show that easy for you after understanding everything in detail. General idea is very easy to understand. What is that? Let us see. Say take this neuron. They mention about this initial segment as A site. Next is described as B site. Next is C, like that letter order in the alphabet is given. So you know very well, always nerve impulse, that depolarization disturbance, first it occurs at initial segment. So when a strong stimulus is given, as I explained about all or none phenomena, so follow that, it is 2-mark question, even for your NEET exam also. Of course, in NCERT, they didn't mention anything about all or none phenomena, but it is important. Okay. So once it is strong stimulus, you know very well sodium gates open. Permeability for sodium increases, simple. So sodium ions flow inside. Inside it becomes positive, outside negative. Isn't it? Actually, what in the beginning, resting state, outside positive, as already I seen the video also now. Only in the initial segment, permeability for sodium is changed. So sodium ions flow inside. Simple. How much they flow inside it becomes positive. And what they mention about site beside the A site. Ante, say take it as a B site. A site beside A site. So automatically after A we use B. So say it is B site. Still inside it is negative and outside as usual it is positive. ఇక్కడ ఇది A side చెప్పండి, ఇది B side. So still inside it is negative and outside it is positive. Okay. So this charge difference, this potential difference within the same axon brings action potentials. As already I explained you, immediately next gates open. Your gates open, so sodium ion flow inside. So as difference is there, as I explained you, but they don't mention anything about gate. Even they don't mention about the potential difference also. I gave you. Plus 45, it is raised up to plus 45. And still it is minus 70 in the B side. Okay, really what happens? Already explained you. Next gates open. Kada. Because of this difference, automatically in the next segment, sodium gates open. And sodium's flow, ions flow. Till it becomes plus 45 here. Again, next site it is still minus 70. So this difference automatically opens the gate in the C site. And sodium ions flow. Again inside it becomes plus 45. This is the actual process. But what it is explained in NCRT? Because of this difference. Okay. These positive ions flow forward. Got it? Inside, they flow forward. Outside, they flow towards cell body to complete the circuit. No. Arthamain, the local current, just what it is explained. Okay. Then next, check the next diagram. Yes, here in the B side, now it becomes positive and outside it becomes negative. And the depolarization is in the B side. Why? Because ions forward. And here positive ions backward. So what happened when positive back? Here it becomes positive and negative here. As positive ions flow forward, here it is become negative and it is positive. So B site now it is said to be depolarized. And slowly impulse from A site traveled to B site. Now check the C site. C side still inside it is minus 70, you know, until negative charge. And outside it is positive. To complete the circuit, what happens? Here, it moves forward. Which side moves forward? Important question in the NEET exam. Inside the axoplasm, means inside the axon. Okay, Nana? Positive charge flow forward. Positive charges flow forward. And outside the axon, positive charge
flow backward.
Backward to complete the circuit. So what happened? Check the next diagram because we can't bring any motion picture there. Simple. You say now C site is depolarized. Means impulse travel from B side to C side. And it occurs till the end of the axon terminal or synaptic terminals. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happens here? From Monday onwards we'll start. how transmission occur in the synaptic junction, it's the next class we have to discuss. Up to now, you understood clear, huh? All of you?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
nerve impulse transmission, you got a good command on that, concepts and everything.
Yes, ma'am.
Clearly,
Yes, ma'am.
all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Then now next, we'll move to the remaining few important points. Already what you have done in the junior inter, but once again I'm revising. So let us start next part. Take it in your notes. Yes. Nervous system or neural system. Why even I put more ink so it is becoming dry. Wait a minute. Yeah. Now take this neural tissue, or you can say neural system, nervous system. Structurally, if you divide, important one, divide it structurally. It is divided into two parts. Central nervous system and peripheral neural system. Actually, we should not say nervous system, it is neural system. Okay. Central means both
Yes.
brain and spinal cord are included. Structurally, brain and spinal cord are included. Now, what are the peripheral nervous system? From brain, 12 pairs of cranial nerves arise. Both sides, right side and left side. So 12 pairs of cranial nerves. As related to brain, we name them as cranial nerves. From spinal cord, 30, even in human, 31 pairs of spinal nerves arise. So all these things are kept under structural part of the neural system. Got it? Now
Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
move to the next one, functional part of the neural system. Now dividing your neural system functionally. So functionally, how it is divided? Somatic neural system, autonomous neural system, somatic neural system, and autonomous neural system. Yes, somatic means voluntary. Whatever activities you are doing, which are under your voluntary control, are included under, classified
Somatic.
under somatic nervous system. Like you are moving your hands, moving your legs, moving your body, eyeball, jaws, neck muscle, tongue muscle, whatever you want to move, when you move, that is under the control of the neural system, what we have categorized as somatic neural system. Yes, it is voluntary, under our voluntary control, conscious control. Autonomous means, self-governing, self-regulating. So it is involuntary. It comes under involuntary processes. So as it is voluntary, check the point here. From the central nervous system, when nerve is started, It ends on what? You only tell.
Ma'am, 1 second, can you please repeat, ma'am?
Ma'am, voluntary muscles.
Organs.
Which is under our voluntary control.
Sense organs.
What's your answer? Dangarazu?
Ma'am, once can you
Voluntary, Nana. So
Skeletal muscles, ma'am.
what I told once again. Who is this Fahad? Where is your admission number? Huh? Laura Manubu? So the Mahala. Somatic nervous system means I told voluntary. So without your brain's instruction, you can't do anything. Remember that. So from the brain and the spinal cord, when now starts to bring voluntary control, where they should end.
Skeletal muscles.
Simple. Skeletal muscles. Now take autonomous. Now starts in the central nervous system. And it should end on
smooth muscles and cardiac
involuntary kada.
smooth muscles
And cardiac. Yeah.
Cardiac.
Inka. Any other? We only categorized. If you can't do that work with your conscious control, voluntary control, categorized under involuntary autonomous nervous system, so automatically it should be heartbeat and it should be smooth muscles because they are in the visceral organs. So digestion process is not under your voluntary control. Urine formation, all your visceral organs work under the control of central nervous system, not under your conscious control. One more thing you can include here. Chandra, any idea?
Endocrine glands.
Huh?
Endocrine glands.
Only glands, not endocrine glands. Simple, say glands. Yes. So all these three things are not under your voluntary control. Glands, smooth muscle fibers in the visceral organs, and cardiac muscle. Not only visceral organs, simple you say smooth muscle fibers and cardiac muscle fibers. They are not under your voluntary control. So directly from the central nervous system, we receive the instruction and it is not under your conscious control, kept under autonomous. ఇది అన్ని జూనియర్ ఇంటర్లో చేస్తారు. Now, when again if you go further point, autonomous nervous system divided into
sympathetic and parasympathetic.
Sympathetic and parasympathetic. Functionally again two parts. Why I told already. Important. Flight and fight, it helps you in the emergency situations, increasing the organs work. Idiemo, rest and digest. Already I told you in the digestive system I explained you.
Yes, ma'am, yes.
So when you are sitting calm, taking food, utilizing for anabolic process, constructing your body, synthesizing proteins in your body, Anni panulu, all those constructive work, anabolic activities, metabolism, two types kada, catabolism and anabolism.
Yes, ma'am.
Anabolism and construction, catabolism means breakdown.
Yes.
So all anabolic processes are controlled by digestion, particularly storage of energy. Everything is done by parasympathetic. And sympathetic, it helps you to balance the emergency situation, flight and fight. So general English, both are described as brake and accelerating system. You know, when you are driving your vehicle, you want to reduce the speed, you put brake.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is, if it is a free traffic, then roads are clear, you increase the acceleration,
Accelerate. Yes.
increase the speed. So these two systems act like, both of them act like brake and accelerating systems, like the acceleration systems. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
For digestion, it acts as a acceleration. For heartbeat, it acts as a acceleration. When you sit, your heartbeat should come to the normal. Then parasympathetic works. When digestion is completed, enzyme secretion should be stopped. That is by sympathetic. So you can't say always it is acceleration, it is brake. For some systems, if it acts as an acceleration, others is the same system, parasympathetic act as a brake. For digestive system, it acts as an acceleration, sympathetic act as a brake. It depends. Particularly D indicating digestion. For digestion, parasympathetic act as acceleration, sympathetic act as a brake. For respiration and circulation, sympathetic act as an acceleration and parasympathetic as a brake. So it depends upon the situation. If it is emergency situation, sympathetic accelerates. When you are sitting cool and calm, parasympathetic act as an acceleration, like that. Got it? So
Yes, ma'am.
both of them, like brake and acceleration for the vehicle, means for our body. And you read it in detail afterwards. In NCRT, every time we are revising NCRT also, in NCRT, especially one more point is mentioned. So I'm giving separate color. That is visceral under autonomous only. Of course, it comes under autonomous only. But they mention separately as visceral neural system. Nothing but you know these things. Kada? Like
Yes.
recently in the DIA system we are done. What are the nerve network present in the in between the circular muscles and the longitudinal muscles of wall, digestive system wall? Muscles, between muscles, Nana.
Skeletal.
Huh?
Plexus.
Yeah, what are those plexus between circular muscles and longitudinal muscles? There's a name for that?
Plexus of back.
Ma?
Plexus of back.
Yeah, aerobac or myenteric. If they are present in the submucosa,
Of Meissner.
Meissner, plexus
nice.
Meissner.
Good, good. So, considering all those things, separately they mention about the visceral neural system. Yes, in the visceral organs, so it's not a separate thing. You know, smooth muscles present in the visceral organs. Secretions all are controlled by the glands, again by the autonomous. So it's not a separate thing. It comes under the same part, under autonomous only, but they mention separately. Yes, now fibers related to visceral organs, ganglia related to visceral organs, ganglia, plural form, and plexus, all are included under visceral nerve system. This point is mentioned only in NCRT. It's nothing a separate one, same points covered. Okay, now? Understood? Clear, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Structurally divided into two, central and peripheral. It's from school level you are studying. It's not new for you. Brain, spinal cord, central. All the nerves arising from brain and spinal cord, 12 pairs cranial nerves. In human, 31 pairs spinal nerves. They go out, so they are named as peripheral. Yes, functionally, if you observe, again, two types. The activities, what we do with our voluntary control, conscious control, all those activities are categorized as somatic. So automatically that now innervates skeletal muscles. Second one, which is not under your conscious control, involuntary. So there, nerves from the central nervous system innervate cardiac muscle fiber, లేదా smooth muscle fiber, even on the glands. So all their activities are not under our conscious control. Automatically they do work on their own according to the requirement, whether it is flight or fight or rest or digest, depending upon the situation. They work. So dividing into two types, if it is fight and flight situation, then we name this activity under sympathetic.
Sympathetic.
If you are sitting cool, eating, digesting, absorbing into the body, utilizing in the cell, constructing your protein, growing your hair, growing nails, forming new skin, all their anabolic processes. Good healthy bones with good calcium, taking iron, taking B12, producing your RBC, removing old, all this healthy activities we do. Rest and digest. Okay, Nana? And separately speaking about visceral organs. Yes, because to move visceral organs, to bring coordination, we need plexus, ganglia, and nerve fibers, nerves. Got it? So, may I clear
Yes.
this? Nana?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Noted in the notes?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, yes, next you know very well already. In the remaining first class, we are done about the neuron structure. So this is one neuron cell, structure and function unit of the neural system. What these processes are called?
Dendrites.
And what is another name for dendrites?
Efferent process.
Amma? Another name. What are those processes?
Afferent.
Efferent.
Ena, ina.
A.
A, ma'am.
Yeah, afferent processes. Processes. Right? Yes, they always add information towards cell
Cell body.
body.
Cell
So
body.
they are adding information towards cell body. So afferent processes. And what about nasal granules? Where they are present?
Cytoplasm.
Site of cell body.
Also even in the dendrites. But nasal granules absent in
Axon.
axon. Good, nice. And here, depending upon the number, already we are done. If afferent processes are absent,
In the embryo. Unipolar.
yeah, what is the name?
Unipolar.
In the embryo. One afferent process one axon.
Bipolar.
Bipolar.
Yes, where we could see
Eyes.
Retina of eye.
sense organs.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And one example they gave, that is retina.
Retina.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
next. More than
Multipolar.
what is it?
Multipolar.
Multipolar.
Yeah. Most of our neurons are multipolar, and I told why multipolar. Because as we grow, as we
Thinking-
learn, no.
Thinking increases.
Yeah, branches increases, network increases. So most of our neurons are multipolar. Okay, so the starting portion of the axon is called
Initial
Axon
segment.
hillock.
axon.
Hillock, ma'am.
Hillock.
Axon hillock.
This is,
Initial segment.
and what is
Initial
axon called? And the name for axon.
Efferent process.
Fiber.
Nerve fiber.
And according to function, what it is also called?
Efferent
Efferent.
process.
Efferent means,
Exiting, ma'am.
Away from cell body.
yeah, already you have done the process. Always unidirectional, away from the cell body. Exit, emerge, out. So
Yes.
what we should give it as?
Efferent.
Efferent process. And I told it is always single, and it should be there. Why it should be there? I told. To run the impulse for a long distance with less time, fiber-like extension should be there. So
Yes.
axon always there and always single.
Single.
In the first class we have done.
Yes,
So it is
ma'am.
an efferent process. So after completing the, and you know what are these?
Dendrites.
From school level you are studying. Yes, axon, terminals, arborization. Already first class I explained you. Isn't it? Completed. And what these three things, unipolar, bipolar, multipolar also we are done. Of course, the anatomical classification according to their functional anatomy. And how many types of nerve fibers are there?
2 types, ma'am.
In Delhi?
Myelinated and
Myelinated, non-myelinated.
Yes. So here, this efferent process may be covered. And already that also we are done, like what this it will do with
Schwann cell.
yeah, Schwann cells. So generally we can't see axon because around the axon they cover and wrapping like a carpet roll with a myelin sheath. Generally axon in the middle. I gave you that diagram also. Like when
Yes,
you take
ma'am.
fetus, this Schwann cell, its nucleus and cytoplasm remain outside. It is cytoplasm, this is nucleus, the total Schwann cell, double N. And outer layer of this Schwann cell is
Neurolemma.
neurolemma. And inside it is
Myelin sheath.
Myelin sheet.
this one.
Axolemma.
Axon.
Axoplasm.
Axolemma, axoplasm, and this Schwann cell itself secretes myelin sheath wrapping around the axon like
Called carpet.
fluid. It is myelinated neuron. So according to this, two types of fibers, non-myelinated, now fibers two types, now fibers two types, non-myelinated and
Myelinated.
myelinated. And you know the significance. Which one can run impulse fast?
Myelinated.
Myelinated.
And why you know very well? Now it is like,
Saltatory.
yeah, saltatorial.
Saltatory.
Why? Because where it occurs only near,
And the nodes of Ranvier.
Nodes of Ranvier.
yeah, why here axolemma is,
Not covered
It's
with
covered.
myelin sheath.
yeah,
Naked.
myelin sheath ledu.
Naked.
Normal plasma membrane with all the sodium gates, potassium gates, voltage gates. But wherever myelin is there, it is made up of only fat.
Fat.
So no question of gates. So conduction ela?
Saltatorial.
Quality.
Yeah. Saltation and jump, you know. So in the peripheral, so now let me say another important point. Keep these two fibers in mind. Yes. Now I'm taking peripheral nervous system comparative with the central nervous system. Yes, cell body aggregation in the peripheral nervous system is called.
Nerves.
Ganglion. Ganglion.
Should I write? Ganglion, singular form. Ganglia, plural form. So this is cell body aggregation. And their axons, now fiber aggregation.
Nerves. No.
Yeah, in the central nerve, in the peripheral nervous system, now fiber aggregation is called
Nerve.
axon aggregation. Wait a minute. Now fibers. Now fibers means nothing but axon. Aggregation is called
Nerves.
Nerves.
nerve.
Nerve.
So try to understand the difference. Neuron means one single cell. Now fiber means its axon. And in the peripheral nervous system means those 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves if you take. There the nerve fiber aggregation is called
Nerves.
nerve. Important. Cell body aggregation is called
Ganglion.
ganglion. Now fiber aggregation is called a nerve.
Nerve.
Yeah, here these are axon terminals. Okay, good. Now, same thing you take again here in central nervous system equal to cell body aggregation, it is
Nuclei.
nuclei. Singular form nucleus, plural form nuclei. In the same way, now fiber aggregation,
Tract.
track. All these things already are done in junior inter. Track. So careful with this terminology because for the lesson we are going to study structure of brain, spinal cord, all those 12 pairs of cranial nerves, spinal nerves, autonomous nervous system, both sympathetic, parasympathetic, then eyeball structure, ear structure, skin receptors, bold lesson undi. So all these terminology you should have clear idea about these things. So I put on the board one cell is neuron. Its axon is nerve fiber.
Fiber.
Nerve fiber aggregation in the peripheral nervous system
Nerve.
is
Nerve.
nerve. Same nerve fiber aggregation in central nervous system
Tract.
is trunk. Cell body aggregation in the peripheral nervous system
Ganglion.
and then cell body aggregation in the central nervous system.
Nucleus.
Yes, now here. Even in the central nervous system, neurons are myelinated, are formed. Ikkada kuda neurons myelinated. Means wrapped with a myelin sheath. But which cells secrete them?
Oligodendrocytes.
Oligodendrocytes. No.
That's good. Perfect. Oligodendrocyte. So Schwann cell equal to the Schwann cell in the peripheral nervous system. Equal to the Schwann cell in the peripheral nervous system. In the central nervous system is oligodendrocyte. Good. Which secretes myelin sheath. Here equal to that it is ఇక్కడ రాద్దాం నీట్గా. And peripheral nervous system equal to that cell, it is
Schwann.
Schwann. Maybe Schwann. Is it Schwann? No, Schwann only. Schwann cell. Because CH sometimes they pronounce it as K. Okay. So which secretes myelin sheath? Good. Myelin sheath. Of course, Schwann cell outer layer is.
Neuron.
So good.
Neuron.
Good. So here myelin sheath by oligodendrocytes. In peripheral nervous system, myelin sheath is by Schwann cell. Okay, good. Then what about this neurons of non-myelinated? They are supported by which cell? Any idea? Supported by which cell? Here oligodendrocyte. Myelinated neurons, of course, Schwann cell. In the peripheral nervous system, non-myelinated neurons by
Astral.
eh?
Uh,
I can't hear you.
Glial.
Schwann cell only. Carefully.
Yes, ma'am.
So here also it is Schwann cell.
Schwann cell is there, but they don't secrete myelin sheath.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. So I'm giving that diagram also. See, take a cylindrical shape of Schwann cell. Along the Schwann cell with its nucleus.
Yes, ma'am.
Here also it is Schwann cell. Non-myelinated neurons are also, these nerve fibers are also protected by Schwann cell. And here the Schwann cell form grooves on the peripheral side. It forms groove-like structure. So I'm drawing few grooves here. Yes, it's a groove. What's the use of groove on the surface? In that groove, they carry the non-myelinated axons. So, same thing, I'm using blue color to represent axon. So here just imagine it is axon running through it. Here it is axon running through it. Running through the groove. Okay, Nana?
Yes, ma'am.
So even non-myelinated neuron is also protected by, supported by this Schwann cell, but here it is not secreting any myelin sheath. Instead, they are providing groove-like structures in which non-myelinated neuron is enclosed like this. Say blue color, it's a non-myelinated neuron. So groove of the Schwann cell, it remains layer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it is non-myelinated axon. And what is that red color cylindrical structure? I have drawn the Schwann cell. So it is Schwann cell's nucleus. It is also Schwann cell, but no myelin sheath. Instead of myelin sheath, providing grooves in which non-myelinated axon gets support. Over. So understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear? ఇక్కడ అయితే central system అయితే oligodendrocyte
Oligodendrocyte.
secretes myelin sheath. In the peripheral nervous system, myelinated
Schwann
neurons, Schwann cell, and it is wrapping myelin sheath like a carpet roll. Even non-myelinated neurons are also supported by, protected by Schwann cell, but protection is little bit different. They provide grooves in which these non-myelinated neurons are lodged, but no wrapping of myelin sheath there. Clear? Everything is on the board.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I think next step we are moving. Another important thing, like types of what you can say nerve. Okay, nerve system lone types of nerve fibers, or you can say nerves. Let us see. May I remove this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's very, very important concept. Careful, important it is. Anyhow, I'll post the diagram, but just go through. Here I'm taking central nervous system, means brain and the spinal cord. Central neural system. Always this brain and the spinal cord through sense organs, maybe it is skin, eye, okay, no?
Yes.
Ear, tongue, any sense organ you take. From sense organs through receptors. Receptors means maybe chemo, like taste and smell, photo, like eyes, skin receptors. Okay.
Olfactory.
Yes, here cell body starts. Always cell, ikkada cell body start. Ikkada vestundi. Always cell body starts here. And it axons run towards,
Central neural system.
yeah. Always it is informing message to the central nervous system, giving information about the surroundings. Yeah, outside light is like this, outside temperature, like that. Someone calling you, someone, something informing you, interacting with you. So informing that message to the central nervous system. Okay, so
Yes.
what this nerve should be called as? Nerve. What nerve it is?
Sensory nerve.
I said
Reflexa.
nerve.
Sensory.
Yeah.
Motor nerve.
Huh?
Sensory, ma'am, because it's getting
Sensory nerve.
to the CNS.
కరెక్ట్గా ఉల్టా చెప్తారు క్లాస్ లోకల్లో sensory
Sensory.
nerve, and always it is carrying message, adding message. So what it is?
Afferent motor.
Different.
Afferent nerve. Idi afferent. Dendrites are afferent processes. Idi afferent nerve. Just now we are done. What is nerve? Aggregation of.
Nerve fibers.
That's good. Aggregation of nerve fibers.
Axons.
So afferent nerve, because it is adding information to your central nervous system. Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Varshita,
Yes, ma'am.
now, where it ends? Where it ends?
Central neural system.
Suppose if it is a voluntary control, where the information, like suppose just now I call you Varshita.
Yes.
So immediately Varshita only answered.
Yes,
Kada?
ma'am.
Because listening to the sound, hearing the sound through the ears, informed to the central nervous system, total 67 are there, but only Varshita said S, ma'am. So to say S, what muscles you have moved?
Skeletal
I didn't
muscles.
ask joint. Yeah, good, perfect. So here, cell body starts, and axon ends on muscle. Kada?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is this nerve?
Efferent, ma'am.
Yes.
Motor.
ఇది efferent process, but ఇది efferent
Nerve.
Nerve.
nerve. And another name?
Motor nerve.
Motor.
Yes, good. Because it is bringing movement.
Yes, ma'am.
Motor nerve. Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And you interpreted what I'm asking. Kada?
Yes.
Immediately you, I asked, you say S with your muscles. So what nerve system and what was your answer?
Skeleton.
Kada.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
means you processed it in the brain. What question I have asked, and you have recollected your knowledge,
Yes.
basic fundamental knowledge, and you have applied. Yeah, When it is under our voluntary control, you have to say S. You're moving your skeletal muscle. So immediately you moved your tongue and the jaw to make a sound skeletal muscle.
Yes.
Means that interpretation, what you receive, what question you have received, what answer you should do, answer you should give, that is interpreted by, means understood and processed by.
Central neurons.
Yeah, in the central nervous system, this neuron,
Interneuron.
which is not sensory, not motor, but it helps in interpretation. You didn't say smooth. Smooth analante em cheyali? You have to
Involved.
move your lips smooth. Other skeletal, you don't move like that. Kada?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So that type of interpretation and processing is done by a neuron present in the central nervous system, and it plays a very important role. What it is called?
Interpretatory neuron. Interpretatory neuron.
Interneuron.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear now? So this diagram is important. Got it? Clear, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
So one point is left out, then you leave. Wait, don't go. Yes, here the same diagram is posted in our textbook material also. The nerve system in neurons in sponges?
No, ma'am. There is no neuron.
Yeah. Anything, any neurons in the this one sponges?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No. And nervous system started from need area. Kada? And it
Yes.
is like a network. Network. See, neurons are like network. Now net. Simple now net in Hydra. Need area. So first time neurons started, but
Need
they are
area.
like network. Okay. Now in the same way, when you helminthes, now cords are like ladder. Now cords are like ladder. Ladder like now cords. Okay. Now in the comparative way, when you compare the insects, here we can take, wait a minute. Yeah, here. Always double ventral nerve cord, well-developed cerebral ganglia, that is brain, and double ventral nerve cord. But for vertebrates, is it double ventral
Dorsal hollow.
No,
side
ma'am.
or dorsal side?
Dorsal.
Dorsal.
Nors.
Nerve system is on dorsal side, yeah. All these things you have studied already in junior
Animal.
inter lesson. Yeah, so revise them. Revise the previous lessons, all of you. Okay, all these are questions, I think. Okay. So revise that part. Thank you, children. Now close this. Emma,
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
simple in the, wait a minute. Simple one paragraph is given and the diagram is given, which is given already. They took it from online.
Yes,
Either.
ma'am.
So revise this,
Yes,
all of
ma'am.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, children.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.